Many organisations and workers have come to rely on personal protective equipment and clothing, or PPE, to protect them from particular hazards. But the problem is, when you look at the hierarchy of controlling hazards, PPE sits at the bottom of the rung and is least effective because it does not and cannot control the hazard at the source. It relies on human behaviour and supervision. The hazard will still be present, and unless the PPE is properly selected and fitted, cleaned and maintained, and its use is closely monitored, it will do little to provide proper protection from exposure to the hazard. Before relying on PPE, you need to conduct a risk assessment to see what other controls can and should be used. Personal protective equipment and clothing is, however, used in a wide variety of industries and can be effective where it is not practical to eliminate or reduce the hazard. It can also be useful in providing protection in emergencies, cleanups, or when carrying out maintenance procedures. PPE includes hard hats that are worn to protect our head from falling objects, hats that protect us from harmful rays of the sun, hoods that protect us from hazardous chemicals or fumes, earmuffs and plugs to protect our hearing. Sunglasses reduce the effects of ultraviolet radiation and glare, whilst safety glasses protect our eyes from flying objects, dust, chemical splashes, or flashes from welding equipment. Gloves protect our hands from cuts and abrasions, or from the effects of chemicals or water. Respirators and masks limit our exposure to dangerous substances or other airborne contaminants. Safety boots and shoes provide protection for our feet, and rubber boots may be needed when working with chemicals or water. Safety harnesses protect us from falling from height, and sunscreen protects our skin from damage caused by the sun. The need for personal protective clothing can range from wearing a uniform or overalls to protect our own clothing, to jackets designed to keep out the cold or wet, and overalls, shirts and trousers to protect our skin from chemicals, sprays or sunlight. Aprons can prevent damage from chemical splashes or simply keep us clean. Whatever the sort of equipment or clothing we use, for it to effectively reduce our risk of injury and disease, it has to be suitable for the particular hazard present and/or the nature of the work we are performing. It also needs to be clean and in good working order. For example, a mask that is suitable for protecting us from dust will not provide suitable protection against hazardous chemicals. Similarly, a glove designed to protect us against cuts and abrasions will not protect against chemicals. Whatever the sort of equipment or clothing we use, for it to effectively reduce our risk of injury and disease, it has to be the correct type for the particular job we're performing. Equally important is the fit and comfort of the equipment. Ill-fitting equipment or clothing may increase your risk of injury or disease. It's important that you're given training in how to fit the equipment correctly and that you follow these instructions carefully. Signs are used in our workplace to indicate that the particular area is designated as an area where PPE needs to be worn. As a worker, you have the duty to use or wear the PPE in accordance with any information, training, or reasonable instruction provided by your manager. Whether you work in that area or are just visiting, you need to be familiar with and comply with the signs. Remember, even though wearing the PPE does not remove the hazard, you're putting your health and safety at risk if you ignore these signs.